They said it started like any other night in Las Vegas, bright lights, roaring anticipation, and a stadium packed beyond belief. But what happened inside Allegiant Stadium that night, no one was ready for it. Not the fans. Not the crew. Not even Bruno Mars himself. The energy was already electric hours before the gates opened. People lined up in waves, some screaming, some crying, others clutching homemade signs like their lives depended on it. You could feel it in the air. This wasn't just another concert. This was something bigger. Something unpredictable. The kind of night people would talk about for years, though no one knew why. As the doors finally opened, the rush was immediate. Fans flooded in, racing for the best view, phones already recording, voices already hoarse. The stadium filled fast, a sea of flashing lights and restless excitement. Every seat taken. Every inch buzzing. The kind of tension that builds right before something unforgettable happens. Then the lights dropped. A scream ripped through the stadium so loud it felt physical. The bass hit. The stage lit up. And there he was, Bruno Mars, stepping into the spotlight like he owned the universe. The crowd lost control instantly. Thousands of voices merged into one chaotic roar, echoing off every wall. He opened strong. Hit after hit. Flawless vocals. Smooth moves. The band locked in perfectly. It was everything fans expected, and more. Every note landed. Every beat hit harder than the last. The crowd wasn't just watching, they were living inside the performance, but then, something shifted. It started subtly. A delay between songs. A glance off stage. A moment where Bruno paused just a second too long. Most people didn't notice. Not at first. They were too caught up in the energy, too lost in the music, but those closer to the stage saw it. Something wasn't right. Bruno stepped forward again, trying to keep the momentum going. He smiled, hyped the crowd, got them clapping, shouting, moving, but there was something behind his eyes. Something tense. Something calculating. The music kicked back in, but the energy had changed. Not lower, just different. Sharper. Edgier. Like something was building under the surface. Then the crowd surged. It wasn't part of the show. It wasn't planned. A wave of movement rippled through the floor section, people pushing forward, trying to get closer, screaming louder, arms reaching toward the stage. Security started reacting, but it was already escalating fast. Phones captured everything, shaky footage, panicked voices, flashes of confusion. Some fans thought it was just excitement. Others started realizing, this was getting out of control. Bruno saw it. You could see the exact moment it registered. His expression changed. The smile faded, just slightly. He stepped back, watching, reading the situation in real time. The band kept playing, but Bruno didn't. He held up his hand, and just like that, everything stopped. The music cut, the lights froze, the screaming didn't. For a split second, the entire stadium seemed confused, like reality had glitched. People looked around, unsure if this was part of the show or something else entirely. The noise didn't die down, it got louder. More chaotic. More desperate. Bruno stepped closer to the edge of the stage, staring into the crowd. Hey, hold up. His voice echoed through the stadium, cutting through the noise. It wasn't loud, but it was enough. People started quieting down, piece by piece, confusion spreading like wildfire. I need everyone to take a step back. There was urgency in his tone now. Real urgency. Some listened, some didn't. Security was moving faster now, trying to create space, trying to control the surge. Fans were still screaming, still pushing, still caught between excitement and something closer to panic. Bruno ran a hand over his face, pacing slightly. Yo, this ain't safe. That hit differently. The crowd felt it. The music wasn't coming back. Not yet. He pointed into the audience, directing attention to specific areas, trying to get people to move, to spread out, to calm down. His voice stayed steady, but you could hear the tension underneath. Take care of each other. Right now. I'm serious. For a moment, it felt like the entire show was hanging by a thread. This wasn't performance anymore, this was real. Minutes passed, but they felt like hours. The crowd slowly began to settle. The pushing eased. The screaming softened into murmurs. Phones were still recording, capturing every second of this unexpected turn, and Bruno, he didn't leave the stage. He stayed, watching. Waiting. Making sure. Finally, he nodded. All right, we good? A ripple of cheers answered back, still loud, but different now. More controlled. More aware. That he took a breath, then smiled, but it wasn't the same smile from before. Don't make me stop the show again, he said, half joking, half serious. The crowd laughed, but they understood. The music came back, and somehow, it hit even harder. What followed wasn't just a concert, it was something else entirely. The energy transformed. It wasn't just hype anymore, it was connection. Every song felt more intense. Every lyric carried more weight. The audience wasn't just reacting, they were locked in, but that moment, the stop, the silence, the shift, hung over everything, and then came the unexpected twist. Midway through one of his biggest songs, something else happened. The lights dimmed again, but this time, it was planned. Or at least, it seemed that way. A spotlight isolated Bruno at center stage. The music softened. The crowd leaned in. He looked out across the stadium, taking it all in. You know, nights like this, he paused, they remind me why I do this. The audience erupted, but he held up a hand, keeping control. But also, why we gotta be smarter. That line landed hard. He wasn't just performing anymore, he was speaking directly to them. Not as a superstar. As a human being trying to hold something together in real time. You can have the time of your life, just don't lose your mind doing it. Silence, then applause, real applause, the kind that isn't just noise, but respect. And just when it seemed like the night couldn't get more intense, it did, because the final act of the show turned everything upside down. The energy skyrocketed again, but now it was focused, controlled, unified. Every beat synchronized with the crowd. Every movement amplified. It felt like the entire stadium was breathing together. Then came the final song, the one everyone had been waiting for. The lights exploded. The music hit harder than anything before. Confetti cannons fired. The entire stadium became a storm of sound and color, but this time, something was different. No chaos, no surge, just pure, controlled energy. And Bruno, he gave everything, every note. Every step. Every ounce of emotion. As the final chorus hit, the crowd sang louder than ever, thousands of voices perfectly aligned. It was overwhelming. Powerful. Almost unreal. And then, silence. The song ended, the lights faded, and for a moment, no one moved. Then the eruption came, deafening, unstoppable. But this time, it wasn't chaos. It was release. Bruno stood there, soaking it in, breathing it all in. The kind of moment you can't fake. The kind you don't forget. He looked out one last time. Vegas, y'all wild for that. A grin. A shake of his head. And I love you for it. The crowd lost it again, but in a completely different way, because they knew, they had just been part of something real, not just a concert, not just a show. A moment where everything almost went wrong, and somehow turned into something even more unforgettable. The kind of night that doesn't just entertain you, it stays with you, long after the lights go out, and even after the lights fully came up. No one rushed to leave. People just stood there, some still holding their phones in the air, others wiping tears they didn't even realize had fallen. Strangers looked at each other and laughed in disbelief, like they had all just survived something together. Because in a way, they had. Outside the stadium, the noise didn't fade, it evolved. Fans replayed the moment over and over, voices overlapping, trying to explain something that didn't quite make sense unless you were there. Clips were already going viral. Headlines were being written in real time. But none of them could truly capture what it felt like inside, because it wasn't just about a show stopping. It was about control slipping, and then being taken back. It was about an artist who didn't ignore the chaos, but faced it, owned it, and turned it into something powerful. And as the night settled over Las Vegas, one thing became clear. This wasn't the concert people expected. It was the one they would never forget.